HR will be the center of innovation. In fact, this is one of the predictions for 2021 as per a recent report by 𝗏𝗏𝗏. And this actually gives us an opportunity to innovate every people-related practice, be it recruitment, performance management, learning, career modeling, and so on and so forth. And clearly, every company needs to innovate its HR and leadership practices because the way we are managing people is also changing very, very rapidly. And, most of us are dealing with a host of factors and, particularly those operating in the global domain with constantly changing, employee demographics. We now have a hybrid workplace model. We have digital disruption happening and increasingly, globalization as far as businesses are concerned. And with innovation comes technology. And to discuss technology and innovation in HR, I have with me today Amit Kataria, who is the CHRO at Hanu Software. Amit, welcome to the HRone CHRO series.
Thank you, Thomas, for inviting me. I'm very, very humble and glad to be here today.
Yeah, great, Amit. And Amit, really, one of the other predictions that 𝗏𝗏𝗏 has made for 2021 and now being echoed by a number of other HR gurus is really that we will see a new war for talent, right? And this is being driven by a number of factors. Firstly, a host of new skills are required with digital transformation taking, place at a very rapid pace and all businesses really getting transformed. We also have now a hybrid workplace model that has come into effect. And I'm hearing that in a lot of, organizations now, there's a lot of pressure to have a significant or a reasonable number of people on contracts. So the contract workforce is increasing. There's also the gig economy, which is increasing, right? Yeah. And there are plenty of opportunities for employees as well, right? So actually, interestingly, we have a dilemma, either way, right? I mean, so for instance, in markets like the US, there's an economic boom right now happening, right? And there are, jobs are at an all-time high. And a lot of technology companies in India are actually riding that wave and taking advantage of it. But if you look at talent acquisition, on one hand, like in the US market, you've got, plenty of jobs and there is a shortage of talent and that is an issue, right? And then there are perhaps a lot of other markets where maybe there aren't so many jobs, the growth is not happening at that rapid pace, and there's plenty of talent available, right? So how do you then find the right talent, right? So that's also a dilemma. It would be great to hear from you in terms of how you are leveraging technology to source the right talent, given the fact that you have the employee's perspective on one hand, and you have a rapidly changing business environment on the other hand.
Yes, one thing you're absolutely right, Thomas, is that job market is red hot. We are literally on war for sake, and that is very true statement if you're making, because nobody expected this kind of spike in IT, specifically tech industry, 2 years back. And since the pandemic was there, everybody thought, okay, economies would go down and will slow down this, but inversal happened. The boom actually in the talent side has spiked to that every HR and talent acquisition officer is on toe to get the right talent at place. Right. And if you see, there are few big challenges I personally think that every of us is facing. Right. And I will name a few and then I will tell you, and we will discuss that how we as a company leverage the technology. And we said that, okay, we kept floating because I see many of my peers are still struggling about that. How do they source the right talent? Right, so what happened is during this pandemic, we introspected and see what's going on and how do we do it? We took that time to cool off and then started the engine on the jet fuel and how it worked for us. Going back, those challenges were 3 challenges basically, if I see from my point of view, is that we needed to get a rightful skill onboarded at right time. We call it on time. Because if your project is starting today and me as a HR would say my delivery that no, you will get your resources 3 months, he or she would not be very happy, and because the deadlines will not meet. And this is one challenge. Second we face is that getting the talent at old price. And this is a very important statement I'm making, Thomas, because before the pandemic or 2 years back, 1 year back, the talent, let's say it was X price. at the same skill, let's say 4-year a Python resource would price at X level. Now, if you talk to the same person, 4-year X level, the expectation in terms of remuneration is X plus X. It's literally doubled or triple folded.
Okay.
So the second challenge we faced was getting the talent the same price. And we as a company, Hanu, the third and the most important challenge for me, which I had, is getting those skills or candidates which are aligned to our value system, which are very, very important from the psychometric analysis side, that they are our rock stars. They are the one who would be making future with Hanu. So these three big challenges we were facing, and we had to figure out a solution about it. And then I'm glad to share that we did. Why? Because when there was a slowdown in terms of what happening in COVID era, we invented and we invested as well in upgradation of technology. So what we did is we took the automation path, 100% automation. We were automated enough already, but then what we realized that in order to get ready for the next wave, which my delivery was constantly reminding me of, Amit, down the line, 3 months, 4 months, this is what we need, because we as a technology company, we never slowed down. The sectors had an impact, but for us, being a 100% cloud focused company, demand for us was rapidly increasing day by day ever since the pandemic started, because companies wanted to scale up, they want to move to cloud as soon as they can, and many other factors which contributed to that. So what we did, we essentially made two things when we talk about leveraging the technology. What we did is we made the recruitment and selection process easy and scalable through technology. And second, we made this whole screening process based on our traits, Hanu traits we call it, and our value system. And these are the two things which were important to us, and we made
important, you say, and I think those three pillars that you mentioned, three components: speed to hire, the how do you maintain the cost of hire, and then the values related to hire. And I think it's great to see that you have deployed some sort of interesting technologies to make all that happen. So, but I want to take a cue from the values that you spoke of, right, which is really the critical component that you mentioned, linked to hiring, to really focus our shift around employee experience, right? So employee experience, Amit, is now a corporate strategy, right? It's no longer an HR strategy, which perhaps people thought some time back. And this is going to be very, very integral to companies in 2021, because, we've seen the shift from, overnight work from home, right? And then it became a work from anywhere, and now it's a hybrid model. And now employees have really come to the forefront, right? Like never before for organizations. And I hear a lot of people talking about this. And, therefore, how do we really, manage, or how do you really understand every minute in the employee's, journey? And how do we really take, proactive action on the feedback that we get from employees? And how do we really build a strategy around that? So really, Amit, what is your take on, employee experience, and what are some innovative models and technologies that you are deploying while making this a corporate strategy?
Very interesting, Thomas, and I'm happy that you test this, because that's my favorite topic always to talk about, because that's very close to us as him.
Yeah.
To start with, I will tell you that we don't call it employee experience. Why so? Because nobody in Hanu is employee. We call everyone a rock star, and that's what give you one answer that why we are such a vibrant and fun-loving company. In terms of technology, how it's coming, I will give you the base as well. So it's not that one day we dream of, okay, fine, let's everybody start calling it rock star and no forget about it. There is, as we mentioned, there is a value system behind it, and Hanu value system is called ROCK, R-O-C-K. And these are the 4 values. I will take liberty in a minute to discuss about it, so as at least audience gets some cue about it. So R, when we, from the ROCK, R stands for respect for all. This is first value we have. From ROCK, from O comes as openness and transparency. C, which is third, is a client obsession. Obsession is a good way that you want to know everything happening, and you're proactive providing a solution. And fourth one, which is K, is a Kaizen, which is your continuous learning process. So in Hanu, these 4 are the pillars which is based off everything we do in Hanu, from the cultural aspect, from the environmental aspect, and everything we do around the employee experience. And I'll give you a very small example, Thomas. So now, you say that it's a tech economy. Startups are mushrooming everywhere. Of course, the whole ecosystem is evolving, and then being a tech company, or most of the companies are around that space. They are people oriented, right? So their focus is always to make them happy or keep them happy. We are also on the same boat, but we want to keep ourselves at forefront of that innovation. So what we did 10 years back, and I'm just giving you one example, we did lots of initiatives. There are many which we'll discuss. 10 years back, what we did is we had this mood indicators. Basically, there were the devices. These had 5 buttons that know how are you feeling today, like very happy, happy, kind of angry, and something on all those 5 buttons. And we placed them in our Princeton office at the exit door and as well as India. So end of the day, let's say when whosoever was in office is whatsoever happened, they were requested to press the button, any one button of their choice. If they were happy, press happy. If they were sad or not sad or whatever the mood was, and that was integrated with our backend server. So as there was a backend app, and that gave us real-time pulse of our rock stars, that what's going on in office today. Are people generally happy or not? And there is only one thing, which I could tell that we did it 10 years back, not today. And that gave us, that laid that foundation of the initiatives we wanted to take. So when we talk about a rockstar environment and culture, we believe that this is very, very essential aspect of a evolving company. And Hanu believes, and as far as the technology goes, we have many things which we had adopted to take care of that culture. You would be very surprised to know that we have a seat called Chief of Rockstar Happiness. That seat is solely responsible for fun and culture at Hanu. And that gives you a little idea that, what we do. So this seat is basically all around, giving all new avenues, constantly working. So as every rock star within Hanu, or generally when we talk about employee, is handled with care and love. He or she has all resources he needs to do the job well, and all like that. So that's how my take in that. Technology is very, very essential, because in order to do those initiatives, you needed those platforms to be availed and done. What we are also have a in-house, which we developed our proprietary software, which is used within Hanu to do that. And there are other tools as well, which is called, we use Microsoft Yammer, which is organizational social tool platform, where every rockstar of Hanu is free to put the opinion, announcements, give the recognition and awards, and lots of other things. So which keeps it which keeps it engaged culture in Hanu. And that's what I would answer you, that how technology played the role.
No, great, Amit, and I think that rock concept is so intriguing and interesting, and it stays in your mind. So linking it now back to the rock stars is really now the other concept that I want to bring in, which is really that 2021 will also see a major focus around capabilities and skills of employees. Because there's rapid, transformation taking place in organizations. So how do you constantly keep track of it? How do you upskill your employees so that, we're able to handle the kind of capabilities for a particular role? And then what are those skills required to actually deliver on those capabilities? And let me give an example here. For instance, if you take, let's take a sales manager, right? I mean, that's a role. One of the capabilities for a sales manager is negotiation, good negotiation skills, right? So that's a capability. And now there are a host of skills under that, right, which really are important so that the person can, build that capability of negotiation. For instance, listening skills, communication skills, ability to do competitive research, ability to do a pricing strategy, ROI calculation, and so on and so forth, right? So really so you have roles, you have capabilities, and then you have skills and perhaps some overlaps and so on and so forth. So Amit, really my question to you is that now this is a very critical component, and, and a lot of learning technology platforms are actually grappling with this, because that's a very key component for them when they integrate learning with this entire competency metrics that they talk about. So, Amit, how are you developing this particular area of defining capability and defining the skills for roles at Hanu? And what are perhaps some innovative practices that you might have put in place?
Very relevant question, Thomas, and let me answer you this way. So we are 100% hardcore technology company, and if you speak about us, the backbone of us or being a successful company is that we have a strong belief in continuous learning. Right. And what it means that, if you see the traditional way of doing upskilling or reskilling was, you call up a few trainers, you work a classroom training for XYZ, and then ask your employees to be, participate on their will. And that was not a program which gave results we wanted. Though of course they had expected results, and since it was voluntary or mandatory depending on the organization needs, employee felt it as a mandatory and kind of forced upon them. And as you said, the culture parts of it, whenever human race as a general feels compressed or forced to do something, there would be always a rebellion or not the results we want. So what Hanu did is that over last few years, you see the edtech platforms, edutech companies became bigger and bigger, right? Name few like Byju's and there were Pluralsight, Udemy, and you can name, and there are 24 of companies who will come to you. So instead of we and as a company in telling our rock stars, okay, you do this and you do this, we mapped our career progression to their roles, which you are talking about. Let's say if we had a let's say Azure infra engineer, then there is a certification associated with that. Let's say he has to go with AZ-103, or depending on the data engineer or app modernization engineer you are, there are certain certifications defined to you in our progression that this is what you would do. But then question is, how would you do? Would Hanu align 10 different trainings at the same time for our engineers to get prepared for the certifications? No. So what we did, we also signed up with one of the biggest or larger edutech platforms, which offered more than 6,000 on-demand courses to our rock stars, which they can undertake at convenience of their time and environment. So instead of forcing them to take those trainings of their willing, we ask them to do at their own will and then get rewarded along with it. So we did two things. First, we mapped those progression with certifications and career path, and then we associated the reward component through this platform, that if you achieve this level of skill based on the number of time or hours or certifications you achieved, you would be elated to this level and you would get this. And it worked wonders for us, Thomas. And we as a company feel very happy that we did this long back, and it's now we are reaping the results for it. Hope it answered you.
No, absolutely. I think, I think it's always a challenge to, engage employees to learn. And I think, gamifying that whole experience, is something which, if it's done effectively, it can really work wonders. So finally, Amit, I think I started by saying that HR would become the center of innovation in 2021, right? And so if that has to happen, we also need to see a transformation of the HR function, right? So Amit, how do you see the HR function itself transforming?
Yeah, so I think you got all very relevant and interesting questions. Next time I would take your help if I'm in all more panels. So, but say transformation, we always skip it when we talk about it, because that's a very, very, intriguing question when it comes to how HR does it. Typically, human resource function is seen as a support function. If you see, just all the operational thing, or maybe functions which coming to run the delivery smoother. But the transformation itself speaks about, it's all about making the delivery of HR services easier and functional at individual level. And how do we do that, Thomas? It's only done when your HR becomes your partner, business partner. And that's what I think is the answer to that. And when we started, this transformation simple as a process. It starts with administration, and then it's made stronger through partnering with strategic business levels. And then finally, it's taken to the policy and planning level. So this whole process is just made up of all those steps which are to be done in conjugation, but with a very clear mind. And that's what
Right.
I think in today's scenario, HR is now very instrumental, because if you see every generation which we are hiring, they have changed needs, right? So if you say 30 years back, the talent or the people you have at hands, they had a very different aspirational needs, hygiene needs. And now the generation, the millennial, who call it, they have very different needs.
For more engaging conversations in our HR1 CHRO series with your host, 𝗏𝗏 Abraham. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.